So, welcome to WineConf. For many of you may remember that we were in The Hague 7 years ago, the same place, and we celebrated the 25th anniversary of wine. The plan was to be actually in the same hotel and maybe even the same meeting room, but we had to change hotels at the last minute. So hopefully that wasn't too confusing. And the keynote is going to be the same as 7 years ago, but the room is different. So welcome everybody, especially welcome to non-Code Weavers people. We're glad to see a lot of non-Code Weavers people. As you may know, Code Weavers has been hiring a lot of wine dev, so it's always a concern that we are hiring everybody and that there is no longer a wine community. So very glad to see that there is a community. There are people doing interesting stuff outside of Code Weavers. So that's very nice. And because, well, one thing to say is Code Weavers is hiring a lot of people. It's because business is good, and business is good because wine is good. So thank you to everybody for making wine so good. One thing also, of course, is that many companies are now using wine for real things, so that's very encouraging. Then, of course, they hire Code Weavers to fix the bugs. So thank you for the bugs. Good business. And so, because there are so many Code Weavers folks here, we are doing things a bit differently this year. Not the keynote, not is the same, but traditionally we do WineConf over a weekend. So we had 2 days. But now that we have so many people with Code Weavers, we've been doing Code Weavers meetings this week. We didn't want to fly everybody across the world twice. So we do Code Weavers and WineConf at the same time. So everybody from Code Weavers has been in meetings all weeks, and they are tired of being around people, so we thought we'd do just one day of WineConf. So the schedule is a bit tight. Many people volunteer to give presentations, so that's great, but so the schedule is packed. Trying to keep things short. I'm going to try to keep this short. As you know, I'm always talking on and on and on. The kind of person I am. But this time it's going to be short. So I'm going to start talking a bit about the recent status, things we've been doing, kind of a selection, subjective selections of topics that I find interesting or exciting or that I understand. Now, wine is so big that there are many areas that I just don't understand, which is great. We have maintainers for different subsystems, and especially now that we have GitLab, it's very easy. People can approve merge requests, and then I can just merge them without having to understand what's going on. Some more things like media foundation, I have no idea what that's doing. So I'm going to talk about the things I understand, more or less. There are also some topics that we are going to discuss later, especially ARM64 is, of course, major topic, fancy ARM64 box. So we are going to talk about that later, so I'm not going to talk about that, even though it's one of the important things that we've been doing. But one thing we've been working on, one person, Bibab. Is Bibab here?
No, his visa didn't
probably doesn't make it. Okay, so Bibab has been working on a Bluetooth driver, making great progress, lots of code. It's very nice. Again, it's someone who is not from Code Weavers, so it's nice to see things important and complicated things being developed without our sponsorship. The Wayland driver, of course, has been making progress. It was already pretty good in 10.0, but there are some missing features that have been added. And it was enabled in 10.0, so it's already enabled. It's, of course, not the default. It's probably not going to be the default for quite a while, but it's there. Remy has been doing all kinds of interesting things with EGL, getting rid of West Mesa, redesigning basically the whole rendering thing after we redesigned the window management last year. Now it's redoing everything, which is great, especially the window management. Yes?
I know he also experimented with a Rust wine server.
That's not on the list. It's don't want to talk about that. But who knows? I mean, he's taken over window management, and now all the bugs are his fault. So that's great. We've been doing a lot of work on WinRT support, like 1 million DLLs, Windows.device.playback. I don't know, it's Microsoft new ID for structuring the Windows API. I'm sure it's better than the old way. And Hans has been doing the IDL compiler work. Goes with that. We have the user fault FD to optimize the write watches. Paul has been doing that. It was not from Proton. A lot of things come from Proton actually. So that's also very nice. New PDB backend that Eric has been working on. Hopefully works for new and PDB's debugging information. We don't know. So hopefully it gets you debugging information and bad traces for people who use a debugger. I don't. We have accessibility, as we've been working on that. Again, I'm not quite sure what she's doing, but it's interesting. Gabriel has been working on MS-HTML. Again, Jacek has been reviewing all of that and improving, and I have no idea what's going on there. There are lots of commits, so it's probably doing something. We have the thread priorities. Mark Correll has been urging that upstream, so we can change priorities through the wine server. It's useful for games. We have a couple of things that are not exactly related, ICU and WebView 2. So G is working on ICU, Eric's working on WebView 2. The thing they have in common is there are huge code bases that we want to use in wine, but we don't want to build them as part of wine. It would be very painful. For small modules, we can import them into wine, build them as PE as part of the tree. It's very easy. But for things like ICU and especially WebView 2, they have to be built somewhere else. Eric said WebView 2 takes like 2 hours to clone the source. Don't want to do that as part of the wine view. So that means we need to add more add-ons. We have this mechanism for Gecko and Mono, and we probably use the same thing for ICU WebView 2. We may want to improve the mechanism. It works, but may be possible to do it better. Especially if having to download things when you create a prefix. It is improved, you can install the package separately and that sort of thing, but hopefully you can streamline that if we have more packages using the same mechanism. One thing I've been doing is making it possible to switch between old and new WoW64 mode. So hopefully that will help for debugging, for checking if bug is introduced by new WoW64 mode or if it's something else. It still requires to build in old WoW64 mode, and then you can switch to new, but of course it doesn't work the other way. If you don't have 32-bit code, you cannot switch to using 32-bit code. And the other thing I've done is the syscall tracing. Don't know how many people are aware of that, but there are more and more apps, well, mostly games, that want to do direct anti-syscalls, and they pass the anti-DLL code to look for syscall numbers and things like that. So when you use relay debugging, it messes that up because the syscalls no longer point to a syscall, they point to a relay term that will do the tracing and then call the syscall. So the syscall tracing is done on the Unix side, so it's completely transparent. The app doesn't see anything, it just makes a syscall, and then we do the tracing. So that helps if you have an application that's messing with syscall, you can do that. It's WineDebug equals syscall. So for copy protection, that has been useful. So that's a few of the things we'll have. In the next release, there is a lot more, of course. But now we get to the meaningless part. So the exciting tradition of WineConf is the meaningless graphs, and the exciting part of the meaningless graphs is the line of code. So it's going up, big surprise. And, well, it's going up. What can I say? There's a trend line, so it's going slightly faster than the trend. Who knows what that means?
Is that one jump here where we imported all those libraries to build as PE?
Yes, it's the switch to PE, and we added a lot of thunks to the native libraries. Actually, a fair bit of that is generated, so it's a bit cheating. I removed a bunch of generated code, but there's still a little bit included there. So, yeah, looking good and appropriately meaningless. Another meaningless wrap, number of commits. We're going up and down. It's down. So, I don't know what you guys are doing. It's going down. So yeah, I don't know. It's not clear why sometimes goes up, sometimes goes down. I don't know. Doesn't seem things are slowing down. But maybe we are fixing harder problems where fewer commits. It's meaningless. So some stats. We've been using GitLab for 3 years now. Going great. Very happy with it. Yes. Most of you are happy with it. And so now that we have GitLab is tracking everything, we can do some more stats, meaningless numbers. So as you can see here, the total number of merge requests is about 9,000. It was a couple of days ago, so it's probably more now. Over 3 years, that's 3,000 a year. That's 10 merge requests per day, every single day. Pretty impressive. And as you can see, we are merging most of them. May not always feel that way when you're sending a merge request. It's not much, but yeah, 83% finally end up being merged. There are about 10% that are rejected, well, closed, so maybe rejected, they may be superseded by another change. Some people just mess up the merge request, so they close it and open a new one. So it's not actually all rejected, but still only about 10% of merge requests don't make it in. And then you have about 6% that are still in the queue. And some have been in the queue for a very long time. 3 years, actually. Some of them. The truth is, the ones that have been in the queue for a while probably never going to be merged, but I've been reluctant to close them because they show there's an issue. I mean, if someone took the trouble to send a merge request, they had a problem. And maybe the solution is not quite right, but the problem is still there. So it's kind of a way to keep that open until we actually fix the problem, even if we probably won't fix it the way the merge request was written. So yeah, we could be more aggressive in closing all merge requests, but it's okay. It doesn't do too much harm. Hopefully, not too many of them fall to the ground. I think 6% is good now. So, as I said, with GitLab now we have all kind of numbers, and GitLab has these analytics. You can pull out all kind of meaningless graphs and reports, and it's great. You can play with it. You can do the meaningless graphs. You can do your own Keynote with GitLab. So just one thing I wanted to highlight. Value stream analytics, I have no idea what that means, but it's GitLab corporate. I don't know, they try to appeal to managers who buy GitLab probably. Anyway, that's stats on the number of days that a merge request spends before being merged. And I'm only showing the top, but actually the list goes down and it's sorted by duration, so you only see the worst ones. Things I wanted to point out is the median time for merging a request is 1 day. That's kind of surprising. Yeah. It means most merge requests are merged in 1 day or a couple of days. So it's encouraging. Thank you to everybody who's been helping with the reviews. And I mean, we always hear complaints about people who don't get a review, people who don't get their stuff merged, but this shows that for the most part we are doing well. Things are getting in, things are getting merged. Some more meaningless numbers, even more meaningless. The user stats from GitLab. People can, of course, create a GitLab account if they want to participate. And so in 3 years, we've had 19,000 accounts. And there are actually 600 people who are actually doing work. So what this means is basically we have bots creating accounts all the time. I'm not sure why, but probably it's mostly spammers who create an account and then try to spam. And we've locked down pretty much everything. So they used to create a project and create issues with links and crap like that. But now it's pretty much locked down. So I'm guessing just bots create an account and then try to do something and go away. We have quite a number of actual spammers who actually try to do something and then I delete them right away. About 20% of the accounts are people with an account and put a link to some crypto site in their profile, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm spending a fair bit of time cleaning that up and meaning as well the user registration. So I don't know if you can see it, but the green here is people who actually registered to work on one. And about a year ago, we introduced the user registration mechanism. So now if you want permission to fork, you have to request permission explicitly. Again, that's to keep out the spammers and bots. And it's been working well. I've not heard any complaints. It's not too much of a burden. And people seem to be able to do that. If you cannot file a verification request, you probably won't be able to file a merge request anyway. So. But we have about 10 people a month joining the project. So that's good. We'll be active. And then we have 1,000 people, well, not people, but a month who are creating an account. So it keeps GitLab server busy. And related to that, well, we have a capture that's filtering the logins on the website. As you can see, well, 96% of the login attempts are just bots. And of course, it's become worse now in the wonderful world of AI. We have AI bots doing the same thing. So while I'm talking about GitLab, some of the plans, so as I said, we implemented the user verification procedure. We are hosting Mono on our GitLab, so it's not just for one now. It's me is going to talk about that. Here you go.
A little bit.
Talk about that later. We've fairly recently added the static analysis and test reports, so kind of try to take advantage of GitLab reporting so that you can see this data directly in a merge request. And that's working well. And then as always, the plan is to add more CI, more Windows versions. We still have a lot of Windows VMs on the test bot, but we would like to bring that into GitLab. And more graphics cards. And we do have ARM64 box now. Yes? You have a question?
Is there an archive of wine wiki history after it has been migrated to GitLab?
Of what history?
The wine wiki history, or
Is migrated to GitLab?
yeah, it was migrated to GitLab.
Yes,
there's an
the
archive.
old history, yes, I don't think it's publicly accessible, but yeah, it should be available somewhere. Now, of course, it's all in Git, so you have the history in Git, but yeah, the old history is somewhere in the database. So yeah, we have an ARM64 box now, so all the builds are being tested. Well, we are testing that it builds on ARM64. In the CI, we are not running the tests on ARM64 yet. We could do that. The thing is, we'll need a Windows ARM64 VM. Otherwise, the tests are meaningless if we cannot compare. So that's still in the works. At some point, maybe eventually, we'll switch to GitLab for bug tracking. Still using Bugzilla, it's working. It's very old. It's not being maintained. We are not going to spend the time to upgrade it. So I guess once it breaks, we are going to switch to GitLab. Still hoping to do better search tools. GitLab search is pretty basic. There is advanced search, but it's not available in the free version. So either convince GitLab to release the advanced search in the free version or do external tools. And Anubis, if you have heard about that, is the new tool to keep the AI bots out. And we've had to deploy that on Bugzilla and AppDB because the sites were being crushed by the AI bots. We haven't put that on the main GitLab yet, and apparently it's been holding up. It's a more powerful box, and probably the GitLab architecture is also better at dealing with bots. I'm guessing they have lots of bots on GitLab.com. So it's better than Bugzilla and the AppTV.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't had to do that on it, which is nice. So some more, well,
But
actually
question on,
meaningful stuff. Yes.
question on GitLab, the security update. I've seen you keeping up with that one. How much burn is that one? Because it's pretty often in the news that another.
Yeah, there are security updates every couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's not an issue. for
Yeah,
you?
it's fairly easy. I have to do a build because I'm using my own GitLab builds.
Okay.
Because I've made some changes to the source, so we cannot use the public builds. But no, it's fairly easy.
Right.
It's going well. Haven't had any issues. Haven't been any update that broke things. And no, it's working well. And it's maintained. They are doing security updates. Unlike
Yeah,
Bugzilla
right.
and surprise, Bugzilla hasn't been hacked yet. So yeah, the wine top 10 wine people, that's starting from wine 10.0. So it's doing the 10.0. So it's different huge
Wine
numbers.
numbers, yeah.
Yes. By the way, we still at the top, of course. Yeah. Alexander, I'm not sure what this guy is doing.
Well, nobody reviews his badges, right? So
Right,
we'll
it's
get
very
it.
easy. All my merge requests get committed.
Exactly.
I don't know how. And yeah, then the usual suspects, Nikolai, and we have is making the top 5. Too bad he's not here. It's very nice, as I said, he's non-code rivers and he's getting a lot of stuff in. So that's very nice. Now, of course, when people are getting lots of code in, then they get regressions. So as you can see, again, this Alexander guy.
Those hatches are all 150. That's a little unfair.
So
Well, that's good.
what we do see is some people like Nikolai and Bibab, who are on the top of the author list, are not on the regression, like Nikolai said. So some people are changing things without causing regressions. That's very nice. And you will also see some old names like Andrew Icon, Michael Buehler, who are no longer with us. So trying to shame them into fixing their regressions is not going to work. So if you run out of regressions, you can always pick one of Andrew. That's the only way it's going to get fixed. Speaking of regressions, so that's the number of regressions we've had the past few releases. So as you can see, it's pretty stable, especially the last 3, 8.0, 9.0, 10.0. The regression count is pretty much constant. So it's great. I mean, we are, of course, adding regressions during the development cycle, and then we fix them and bring it back down. So right now, of course, we have more regressions, and we will start code freeze and we will fix the regressions, and it will hopefully come back down to the same level or even more. The number is actually pretty good. At this stage in the previous years, we had a lot more regressions, only 200 something. So it's a good number. We've been doing well this year. And hopefully, you can bring it down to, I don't know, 150 would be great. So that will be for code freeze. So the plans for the new release are. Sure, you're going to be very surprised that we are going to start a code freeze in December. This time it's December 5. Last year was December 6.
So different.
Because it's on a Friday. So it changes every year. And as usual, well, we are going to fix regressions in December. Everybody's going to disappear over Christmas and then fix some more regression in January and release mid-January, something like that. So yeah, we've been through that a number of times. same as usual. Couple of things I'm hoping to do for the release, the anti-sync. Haven't talked about that yet, but Zeb has been working on anti-sync for a while. She got the patches merged into the kernel. She's amazing. Now she's trying to get the patches merged into one, which is
much harder.
proving harder than the kernel. Yes. Linus is just a nice guy compared to So yeah, it's my fault. I've not been reviewing these patches fast enough. Remy has been helping getting that upstream and cleaning things up and splitting merge requests in small chunks. So that's helpful. I just need to work on it. If you guys would just stop sending other merge requests, I could work on that. And the other thing I would like to do is make the new 64 mode basically first-class citizen. Right now, it's still tagged as experimental, but the hope is to address that. So the three remaining issues, the OpenGL mappings. Jacek has some plans to do some magic there, using Vulkan to somehow get into OpenGL. So hopefully you can fix that. 16-bit support is still broken. I'm working on that. It should work soon. It will actually be better than Windows, because Windows doesn't support 16-bit code in WAR64. And finally, there's the issue of the 32-bit prefixes. If you install your applications with 32-bit old WAR64 wine, then it's not going to work with the new WAR64, because we need a 64-bit prefix. And I have no plans of fixing that. Hopefully we don't need to. We have some hacks in crossover to work on that. It's ugly, and I really rather not do that. Yes?
Can testers package the new 64 support right now? Because Optimus is currently packaging it despite those two problems you mentioned.
Yeah, some distros are starting to package new WAR64. Obviously, it's good for them because they no longer need the 32-bit libraries. So it's great, but yeah, that's why we need to fix that, because now distros are doing packaging that way. We want users to be able to use the distro packages. They would expect that to work. Except the 32-bit prefixes, they are good. Okay, that's all I had. Any more questions, comments? Great. Well,
Quick question, can you convert the 32-bit prefixes to the new WoW mode? Like a separate tool or something like that?
no.
Just
It
do
would
a
be-
separate
it would
tool
be-
for that one.
You could, but it would be all the registry entries are different. So you need to. You don't know which registry entries are 32-bit, which ones are for both. And yeah, basically you need to reinstall the application.
Yeah.
Which is what you have to do on Windows. If you switch from 32-bit Windows to 64-bit, you have to reinstall everything. There's no way you are going to upgrade in place.
Yeah.
So you are better than Windows with 16 bits, but you are not better than upgrade. Other questions? Okay, well, thank you.
Alexander.